Welcome to the Sunday Superversive live stream digest edition, which I do for friends over the pond and those who can't make it for the 6 p.m. showing Central Time every weekend. I'm here today with Shieldmaiden, the proprietress of Corncrakes Mag, uh, and the new edition, the L&A Catalogue. How are you doing, Shieldmaiden?
Yes, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I must admit, I was entirely jealous of the L&A catalog. I need more physical media out there to advertise on such things, to be surrounded by such wonderful and hybrid people. Uh, Unfortunately, in this modern era, I can compliment people and mean it, but it always sounds a little sarcastic. Genuinely, it's a fine product. I'm glad to see who's up and coming, seeing some of the portraiture. I must admit, even though I can't really budget for it right now, that Cerberus and Persephone collage of hand painted paper absolutely looks amazing.
Well, that's juniper
Uh,
trees, isn't
yes,
it?
Juniper
Hmm.
Tree. Then there's a Rad Loot, excuse me, deck of cards, paintings by Alexander Adams,
Oh,
who is, oh yes, but the Daniel Mitsui with the Wretch on the Gallows tree also looks
I actually
amazing.
own
Those,
that. I own that
ooh,
book.
and it's as good as it looks.
I think he's really good at his poetry. It's religious. It's good for religious people because he's prepared poems for the different Christian occasions.
Oh
So
yes,
yeah, if people are Christian, they will really like Daniel Mitsui's work. And also, yes, his art as well. It's a lot of it's illumination and based on biblical scenes and so on. I actually bought one which is St Cuthbert of Lindisfarne because obviously that's in England near me. Um,
hmm
and it's really nice. It's a print. Obviously, he made the original on like a vellum, which is calf skin. I can't afford that. Obviously, that would cost a lot. But he does a lot of prints, and I would advise the links on the website version. You can click on them, and you'll go straight to the website. And he just has so much stuff. His website is just chock full of anything and everything to do, like prints and posters and cards and bookmarks. And he's got his book here of poetry, and he's got songs, and he just has everything on there. It's like you could spend a few hours checking out his website. There's so much.
oh yes. I was really impressed. I I'm stuck in between things, but once I'm more settled, I'm actually hoping to do a little bookbinding myself. Uh, though many projects always come to mind, and each one of these is very much a inspiration. Going down the list, we also have Prince by Roxandra. Is that Eonce? Eonce?
It's kind of like an Eastern European name, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it either, but I
Maybe
just call her.
if I works, it certainly works enough. Um, I like the dramatic watercolor of the lion. Very nice.
Yes, she's really good at well, she does mostly animal figures, it seems, especially horses, but because I actually own a book that she illustrated, and it's called Black Beauty. You might have heard of that
Hmm.
book. And she
I,
illustrated for
may-
it, and because she's so good at drawing horses, the book is really, really cool. Um,
oh yeah.
so
I
that
sh-
book's actually advertised in the catalogue, in the book section, because she did it for a publisher that I also have their books for, called All Sovereign Publishing. And
oh
her
yes.
book, yeah. Yeah, she even mentions the name. So yeah, you can see the book there, and you can get it if you like her work. Then you have the story and her work together.
Oh yeah, and they look pretty good as books go. But we'll get down there.
Yeah.
Then there's the pharaoh dressing gowns. Uh, and I've seen Nathan Hood wear his
Yeah.
on stream, and it is absolutely dashing, fantastic.
They have that
Uh,
like CAD effect where they give you big shoulders and like a narrower waist. So it's like, you know, the King Henry VIII. That's the kind of
mhm.
energy these coats kind of have.
There ain't nothing thin in my waist, except for myself and whipping my appetites into shape. However, I do like the beast one, that rich purple.
Mm.
The Oh yes, all of it's pretty good. It's very inspiring, and only 450 quid. That is,
Well, they are made of silk, so obviously that's an expensive fabric. So that's kind of
oh yeah,
why. And they are like down, I think on Nathan, it goes down to like his knees. So, and he's like, you
yeah.
know, average height for a man. So they're actually quite long as well.
Oh, very nice. I know I've had my share of even in slimmer days. I've had my share of robes that just it's like upper thigh, and you might as well not be wearing a robe at all. Uh,
Yeah, it's not cool. You know, you need it to be
is
cool and long.
mm. And for those who are not following along on the catalog, uh, these are silk dressing gowns. If you look at, for example, the Peacock Dream, this is blue silk with a black collar, rippling down with designs of both geodesic and animal nature, peacocks in the trees, along with flower-like, almost pomegranate-like designs, uh, like do you remember? I'm sure you remember the painting of the Mundi, the world, an old world drawing with all kinds of fanciful designs. It certainly looks like that, with fanciful waves bordering each peacock design. The quality is evident from the pictures themselves, nary a stitch out of place. Um hmm,
Yeah, the good thing about these is they have cotton batting in them, which is what you put in a quilt. So they're very warm, but they don't weigh a lot. Because if you have like a thick wool coat, it weighs a lot. But these feel as light as a cardigan almost. But they
wow,
are a big full-on coat, and it's just because silk fabric is warm but very very light, and then the cotton, like the quilt batting, cotton batting as it's said here, that is very light as well. So you have something that's warm but it doesn't weigh a lot, and I think that that aids in the luxurious feeling when you're wearing it because you're not being weighed down at all.
excellent. I know for myself, I have a very warm robe, dressing gown, but it is heavy. And while that suits
Mhm.
me in a way, I am even if I were not overweight, I would be an impressive figure. It's still this is it's not cultured. I am ashamed of my lack of culture. Rough wool for me. Uh, but yes, there's also a red Byzantine, which has interesting, intricate designs that I could not possibly begin to understand their portents at this time. And one that is also catching my eye is Pegasus, with designs of the Pegasus on it, with what may be the Muses, perhaps. Um, I'm not quite sure who the female face is. Uh, Moving on, uh, Ben Pook. Uh, Captivating traditional artworks. He's got something that looks like from the Napoleonic times. A couple of
Yeah.
soldiers watching an army.
So
A very
his if you go to his art station, because he sells out of his originals pretty quickly, but he has prints as well, and you can get them in different sizes. So he just does like if you go onto his art station, I have the link there on the PDF.
hmm,
Yeah, you'll just see he's got like pages and pages of so much art. So if you're into anything military, of different, like whether it's French or maybe even German, I don't know what are hussars. Are they French?
can be.
So I think yeah, because I know he's got some of them there. He's got Joan of Arc in the catalogue here. But yeah, he just has so much. And if you're into anything military, from England to France to Germany, whatever it is, he's got it. Whether it's like from inspired by pictures or movies, it's just, he just has so much stuff there. So for anyone who's a military enthusiast, you know, they're going to like his website.
Oh, yes. Let's see here. Lost my place looking at his website. It's pretty good. I linked it in the chat. Then we've got Theodore Shaw Taylor, sort of classical medieval in the first two. Then you have Hercules fighting the Hydra, set of armor, all very interesting stuff. I thought the Knight in the Water looked very dramatic.
Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have a website or anything. He's pretty new to selling his art, but it still is good quality that he's done. And I've put his, you can email him or contact him on Twitter if you want to inquire about an individual piece.
Then we also have Edward. That's the artists. Now we're moving on to literature. We have Edward White with his High Realm trilogy, Escape from the Labyrinth. Admittedly, he's not somebody I've met.
Some people know him as King Emperor Penguin.
Oh, yes, I know that name. Very nice.
So the man who did the playing cards, Radloot, he actually did the picture here of the woman.
I
Because that was for, if you turn the page, like the pub on the other side of the forest, you can see it's got a red and black cover. That's the woman is the back of that cover. So
I get it.
He made him the new cover for his book. But yes, these are his books. He's got the children's series, though he recommends it for adults as well, the High Realm trilogy. And then he just has two other books here, standalones, The Pub on the Other Side of the Forest and then Earl the Dragon Slayer, which are just, standalone titles. But yes, if you're on the PDF, just click on the link. I think that's all the books I have for him, just those ones.
Yes. Earl the Dragon Slayer does look pretty good. It was said that Sir George was not dead, but merely sleeping. 3 centuries ago, a dragon held sway over a small village and its surrounds until the legendary knight Sir George defeated the worm and forced it to flee the region. Of course, no one believes the story except for a young boy called Earl. One day, the spirit of Sir George appears and tells Earl that the dragon is about to return. Now, Earl must brave his fears and face many foes within the Forbidden Forest to find the dwarven blacksmith who will craft the weapons he needs to vanquish the worm forever and save his village. Kindle and paperbacks from £2. Yes, very good. Big fan of what I'm seeing here. I'll definitely probably buy Sir George. That's the exact sort of thing I like. I keep clicking on links to share them on the chat, and it loses my place in the PDF.
Can't you right click, open link in new tab? Surely that will solve this problem.
Yes. It would. It would absolutely solve the problem. Then we have Tamburn Bindery, bookbinder from Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. USA, medieval-styled illuminated art. Collection of literary classics. This reminds me very much of, illuminated manuscripts. But I have in my possession a small collection of illustrated children's stories, more on the fairy tale side of children's stories rather than children's stories. Also things like Siegfried that have very, I don't want to say adult, perhaps pornographic, but they have very mature illustrations to them. And it reminds me of something similar to this, except of the medieval illuminated style.
Yes, this man has 9 children, and yet he has time for doing this kind of art.
that's that's really impressive. Um, but then again, 9 mouths need to be fed. So I suppose he
Yeah,
has
but there's less intricate ways than illumination that you can feed your family.
Shieldmaiden.
What?
Shieldmaiden.
I feel disapproval right now.
Shieldmaiden.
He could work at McDonald's, like, couldn't he?
I mean, he could, but McDonald's almost costs more to work at it than it is to, for what you gain out of it. Uh, let's see here. We got Imperial Press, Pro More Maiorum. Uh, they've
What does
got
that mean?
some, no clue. They hold on. I will Google translate this. Come on, you wretched machine. I'm studying French, not Latin.
This is very inconvenient. French.
I'm working on it. Hold on, guys.
I'm trying to learn Brittonic as far as foreign languages are concerned. Well, it shouldn't really be foreign, but the living speakers of it live in France, so.
Ah, yes.
So, is your wretched machine, as you worded it, working?
No, I'm working on it.
Do you have like an ancient 1980s computer?
For the tradition of our elders. No, it is 5 years old, but I put it through the ringer. I use it quite a bit, and it is not quite ending its useful life, but it is only as fast as its user. They've got some new things to put out here. Casino Labs, which is, I'm not quite sure actually. It says it's about a gentleman who imagines himself an ancient emperor as he wanders around in a toga in Las Vegas Mega Resort.
He sounds a bit batchy.
Yes.
But he talks about like casino and labs as in laboratories, so it must be some kind of like sci-fi sort of type of story.
Yes. And it's got Casino Labs is a satirical psychological thriller about deception, family ties, nuclear fallout, video poker, and a covert mind control weapon program hiding in plain sight. Because there's like Helens of Troy and stuff running around as well as they try to uncover the Casino Labs mystery. Though I'm of the opinion that people go to Vegas of their own free will. No psyops necessary.
They probably do, though I have never been tempted.
Yes, neither have I. I do get asked to go gambling with people, and I refuse. And they were shocked, and they're like, "Ben, come on, Ben, come on." And I went, "All right, watch this." And I put 20 into a roulette table. I lost it in 3 spins. Just went pew, and they're like, "Oh, we get it." I'm like, "Yeah." The evening, the Times newspaper turned into Jane Eyre.
I do not know what that means, but this is a book of poetry.
Yes, I've collected a couple small press books of poetry, and they all have weird names, except the most normal one is called "The Rats in the Cellar," and it's about a dude who's being kept awake by rats skateboarding in his cellar, and other things like that.
I mean, the title sounds realistic if that's what it's about.
I'm not a poet. I can't take these flights of fancy without turning Icarus real quick. So I like it when it's a little bit plainer. They also have Chateaubriand selected writings by Francis Rene de Chateaubriand.
I
Uh,
don't know who it is.
Father of French Romanticism, casts a long shadow over European literature. Um, Actually, one of the reasons I want to learn French is because I am learning French, I should say, is because of the writings of Guy de Maupassant, who is the father of the short story, and I want to dive into his mind a little bit in his original language.
Hmm.
Let's see. Then we have Old Sovereign Publishing, desire to bring back beauty to the publishing industry and empower literature through art. Uh, and that's the
Yeah,
ones who are publishing. Hmm?
these guys are located in England. They've only been around for about a year or so, or maybe a bit longer. But they take like books, old books that have already, out of copyright for many years, like Black Beauty, Lord Jim, etc. Um,
Hmm.
and then they try to make them really, really high quality. I actually own the book Black Beauty, which Roxandra, who I mentioned earlier, illustrated. So they get someone who's really good at illustrating to do the illustrations, and then they either do leather bound or cloth bound, but they're really intent on making really high quality books that will last for a long time, and you can have them pride of place on your shelves, as opposed to a lot of, like, when you buy stuff on Amazon, I noticed it comes in like the cheapest. The paperbacks are like the cheapest print on demand
It's
you can
true.
possibly.
It is. It is true. They're terrible. Uh, I've actually had to return some because of how wretched it was. It was the one they had. They reprinted the Metropolis uh, novel, uh, and it turns out it wasn't really a reprint. It was some like Asian sweatshop uh,
God.
that produced, essentially a slop version of it. That was like had double magazine lines of literature for a novel. That, like, if it's a short story, it's fine because actually
You
you
mean
don't
like
get
two
as fatigued.
columns?
Yes, per page.
That sounds weird.
It was like I returned it. Like it was. I demanded a refund rather.
Now, I've only
Uh,
ever seen that in things like dictionaries and so on. Other than magazines, obviously, that's the thing you have in a dictionary.
yep, it's a horrible format. Absolutely horrible format for novel writing. Um, cannot recommend it. uh, but yeah. Anyway, that's if you ever wonder why some things just don't get reprinted, they're either too rare to like be interesting to people, or too rare to be interesting, or it's like they're already like so much overprinted that unless you're doing something special like um, Castalia House Publishing does with their special editions, or like what they're doing here with OSP, who's advertising, um, uh, it's just not worth it. Like you'll have to deal with some AI slop book, which is why I appreciate these publishers. Uh,
Mhm.
I do have a copy of Plutarch's Lives from Castalia House in like goat skin, or is it? Yeah, no, these are the
Ooh,
calf
yeah.
ones, and like
Yeah.
gold, and they're just really good looking books. Just yes.
I think based on posts that Old Sovereign have done on their Twitter, I think their Plutarch's Roman Lives is going to look a bit like the Lord Jim book above it. It's going to have that kind of
Mm,
leather and marbled paper.
yes, very good looking stuff. Uh, the it's just ooh, yes, it does look pretty good. I might get the Black Beauty. I don't have a Black Beauty. Uh, let's
They
see here.
do
Then
they do limited printing runs, so when they sell out a Black Beauty, I don't think they're making more. So it's like get them all you can kind of energy with these books.
Oh yes. Uh, I know. I feel like I bought something else from them, but I guess I just haven't. Because
They
I
have
I
more than
bought
these 3 books. So I thought they had one
mm,
of Rudyard Kipling's as well.
King's. They have King Solomon's Mines
Yeah.
in the leather collection. Cloth bound Black Beauty. Hmm.
I think they're making more, more cloth bounds in the future, but because they've only been around for about a year, they've got limited stock so far. Because they
Might
must put
have.
so much effort and energy into these books.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh. Oh yeah. I know for Fox Day it's been difficult because it's like, if your distributor goes silent or something like that, it's another 3 month delay to get it up and running again. And you gotta hope, you've got the not that he has a problem with his reserves, but like, you better hope that the publisher or whoever can stick around long enough to do it. Uh yes. But it looks like they've got no problem. And actually, I might buy the Hunger novel. Looking at their website, it looks
Oh,
interesting.
that's cloth bound as well, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes. Uh, anyway, yes. Moving on, we've got the After Moses series by Michael F. Kane.
Do you know him?
I know him through Twitter.
So I watch a podcast occasionally called Periapsis Press, and I believe the woman who runs it, she does a lot of reviewing of indie type books, and she reviewed his books and recommended them. So I reached out to him, and he was he was fine with putting the things in the catalog. And yes, his After Moses series is 5 books, and I think it was sometime in the last year he finally completed the last one because this is a lot of novels to write.
Yes.
Um, so yes, they are all here. I don't think he's writing anymore. I could be wrong, but I think this is the set of his books complete.
Hmm. So we'll move on to another series, I guess. Well, I
Yeah,
should
maybe
invite him on anyway. Sorry.
yes.
Yeah. Hmm. Let's see here. Yes, 5 books. I do like his coordination of the color covers. Sometimes you get people who switch different covers out. Uh, can't uh, can't really recommend it as a consumer.
No, it's good when it's like a series. The covers have some kind of
Hmm.
theme to them.
Yes. There's the Double Dealer magazine. I've seen plenty of friends get published uh, 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 with Double Dealer in the past. Admittedly, they're not ones I've bought yet, partially because I'm working through the Aegis sets, um, but they've stuck around quite a bit longer than other literary magazines. Uh,
Mhm.
and it's a revival of the Double Dealer magazine that was published a very long time ago. Uh, America is littered with the graveyards of publishers, and thus is very fertile ground for anyone who wants to take up a legacy, and they've certainly done so successfully.
And they have this is like 50 plus pages. So it's a really long magazine, and I believe they publish short stories. So
Hmm.
I think because obviously I run the Corncrake, which is not quite the English version of this, but it's the same kind of energy. These kinds of things are
Yeah.
good if you want to, read a short story, but also read a variety of things, but also see what people are writing like today. Because I mean, with the Corncrake, I republish things from the past as well. I don't know if the Double Dealer does that, but especially with I have a bunch of authors who write they're new writers. So for me, it's really interesting to see how people think today, what the energy is as far as writing and literature is from the people
Yes.
who are writing today. That's really interesting to me personally. And I'm guessing most people in the Double Dealer are American. So this is like American literature. So this would be of interest, I think, to a lot of Americans. And I just think it's just fun to receive a catalogue in the mail every month or so. Um, you just physically there and you read one story and then you set it down and you go away and you come back and read another one. And I think that's really the benefit of receiving a magazine, a printed magazine.
Yes. I agree. I enjoy that. When I get my Kursova and such like in the mail, though it's less monthly and more buying on Amazon. Uh,
Yeah, it may not magically turn up, but like
I
it's
wish magic was real. I'm hoping magic. uh, so there was this comic Homestuck, and occasionally the different characters would get into trouble, and they would have magical thinking, and they go, "You don't know if magic's real. In fact, you think it might be very fake, but right now you wish you're hoping with all your little heart that magic is real." And then they do something stupid, and it's like, "Please be real magic, please be real magic," and then it turns out it's not real, and they suffer consequences. Very amusing stuff.
yes.
Uh, Next is a set of other novels,
So
essays on.
no, I was just about to say, like, some people have only published like one story or something.
Mm,
So that these pages here are just dedicated to random books that obviously I can't put with a different publisher or anything. So they're just like different authors on these pages.
yes. Essays on Western Decline by N.D. Swan. Uh, Collection of essays. Admittedly, yes. Daily, it is scarred by the dissolving acids of liberalism and Ouroboros, which devours its own tail in pursuit of its ideological tenets. Uh, Very strong words.
That is, I know this book isn't full on literature, but
Mm,
I do have the occasional book in the catalogue that's not like a full on story, if that makes sense. Like with books and
hmm.
writing, it's so broad. Like what is entertainment, what's story, what has morals to it. Like it's so huge. So but the only thing I've really tried to keep away with the catalogue is politics. So we need the politics
Yes.
out of it, but yes, this is technically a book of essays, not short stories, but it can slip through, you know how it is.
Yeah, and there's like what I tell people, there's politics and then there's politics. Like I tell people who wonder what is up with America, and I tell them generally that the sport of America is not baseball or football or anything else that you American football or anything else you can imagine. It is politics. Uh, and then you have the extremists on every side in the same way that you have a guy who might slather himself in the team's color and engage in what you well know as football hooliganism. Uh, Except they're usually like Antifa freaks. Freaks. Then
Well,
we have. Hmm?
no,
Sorry,
I
what were
said
you going to
no
say?
freaks in my catalogue, thankfully.
Good, good. Uh, Freakism usually outs itself very quickly. I don't think they realize it themselves. Then we have collected essays on Anglo-futurism philosophy by Alexander de Albini. Uh, Anglo-futurism. I
Do you know
like
what that
it.
is?
I have seen a couple memes. I don't like. I don't want. I'd have to bring up politics, but it's like I don't get. Sort of like I understand hope for the future, But at the same time, I see how things are acted. But I also know the internet expands it, and that I've been to England myself only last year. Therefore, I know that it's actually not that bad out there. Provided,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
like,
So I think this Anglo-futurism philosophy is unique for England. I don't necessarily know if people in other countries would find the philosophy as good for them, but for people in England, it's a different way of looking at things. And
yes,
because, there has to be the modern age is dying, there needs to be something afterwards. And Anglo-futurism provides an acceptance of technology, but at the same time, not any kind of ignoring of the past or anything, or destruction of culture.
right. I dig it. Uh, and I'm all for the preservation of the Anglo culture, uh, which is only as interpreted as legal within the great bounds of Britain. Uh, but no, this is interesting. It's got an interesting checkerboard color. Kind of reminds me, chessboard color. Does remind me of chessboards and thoughts and stuff. I do
Mm.
always have a hope for the English people, but I don't think people will like the look of it because it will be less comfortable. And I know how the Brits love their comfort. It's practically all my mother ever goes for. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Uh, but whew, can you imagine it? Tea and crumpets on the moon.
I will not be going to the moon for afternoon tea, I'm afraid.
What? What?
If you had gave me the opportunity for afternoon tea on the moon, I would just be like, no.
How about Mars? Would Mars all be acceptable? Though
That's
that's
even further. I like Earth.
yes,
I see no problem with staying on Earth for the duration of my life. It pleases me.
those were gasps of shock. Uh, you're right though. Mars is entirely red. Red theming, red crumpets, red jam. It's not creative at all.
Red,
Delicious jam, but hmm?
no, just imagine red clotted cream. Like, no.
that is white. It's the shock of white in red. Uh, Doctor Universalis by Gaston Nouvel. Young theology student named Albert sets off for the East on an adventure that will change the fate of Christendom.
I
Uh,
actually like his cover because
this is a nice
it's
cover.
like somehow trad or ye oldie or something.
Mm. It yes. It reminds me of um, oh my goodness, I've forgotten the name of the book. But there was a book that's out of the Silent Planet. There we go. Not necessarily because of I'm trying to think uh, of the different spheres. There we go. Of the different spheres of the world, and Ransom goes to these different spheres, and I think that's pretty neat.
I just think it's
But
a very aesthetic cover.
it is. Then we have A Loveless Lay by Philip Wortman. Uh, Poem, The Style of a Ballad, tells a story about King Arthur after the discovery of Lancelot's love affair with Guinevere. Somber meditation on human desire for vengeance, the power to take it, and the general contemplation on the power vested in the authority of rule. Also contains Morte Arthur by Lord Tennyson, which
So
is
he's
hmm,
written a bunch for the Corncrake.
very good. What's your favorite story of his then?
He wrote one for the Christmas edition. To be honest, I don't specifically remember the name, but the Christmas
That's
Crake has
fine.
has a story in it which I think is pretty good. It would offend pagans beyond repair, but it is still a good story.
They need to deal with it. I do like the idea of it because it's like I'm sure Nathan has talked about this in one of his King Arthur streams, uh, but sometimes people uh, like they want to characterize Arthur in many different ways, but fundamentally they miss out on him being the king. Uh, his soul is under the same rules as any Christian, of course, but he also has deeper responsibilities, and it's I don't know, like for many people, it's hard to put everyone in their proper place, and either they go after Guinevere in ways that are, shall we say, unhealthy. Then they go after Lancelot for being a Chad or something like that, or they go after Arthur for not going berserk and just killing everybody, or
Yeah.
it's like even though I personally, if you were to say, okay, who's most at fault, I would just say Guinevere. Uh, but it's hard to balance it out because like I've worked in a bar, I've seen human relations between people in love. Uh, quite frankly, they're stupid. They'll do dumb things, and then I'll throw them out of the bar, and they can kiss on the sidewalk or something like that. Um, instead of getting jealous over a waitress or whatever they were doing. So it's like I've seen people do dumb things for love, but I do. I have to think about this. I might pick this up just to see his take, because I don't blame Arthur for trying to downplay it. I just blame him for letting it sort of destroy him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Because it's like it was a no-win scenario, but sometimes people think he could just magically make it all better. When in reality, people did have to be punished and things had to be set right, especially after the Orkney lot started getting real angry about it. Though, to be fair, Lancelot did kill two of the brothers. Technically, three. Yeah, he killed Gaheris, Gareth, and I think he killed Gawain.
Well, he's a very busy person, dashing about the countryside murdering.
Well, no, Gareth was a murderer, I think. Ga- um, Gaheris was in combat, and then murder in the sense of he was unarmed, and Lancelot was pushing through a crowd, hacking at either side, and then Gawain succumbed to his wounds from Lancelot, if I recall correctly. And nobody is correcting me in the chat, so I'm going to accept it as that. Uh, but anyway, it's I don't know, like how do I want to put it? Like as an American, I'm kind of expected not to care about these things. But my mother was English, and there's a yearning in my heart for Arthur as the cultural capstone that indeed all the American founding stock of which I am a part would also know practically by heart. Uh, Even though they tended to fall on the Roman and the Greek myth side of things, um, I don't think that they would have forgotten Arthur and the rest so quickly. Uh,
Yeah, it's a pretty good story, and like Americans are in the position where they can draw from a lot of different cultural stories. So why not have more rather than less? I
mhm.
mean, I'm not American, but that's my take on it. Like, why not have King Arthur too?
Oh, yes. Well, we're not allowed to have George Washington sleeping under Mount Vernon for America's day of greatest disaster. No, no, that would be not realistic or pragmatic at all. Uh, can't uh, can't do it. Wish we could. I think there does need to be enough of a time abyss for such things to become myth, but they're too well documented in our country for such things. George Washington being the first president and a crackerjack general, besides. So he would have a pretty good like King Alfred sort of position,
But
given
it's
enough
also
time.
recent. It's like he was alive, like, what, 100 years ago? King Arthur was
It,
alive hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
it was 200 years.
That's very short. Come on, you know
What?
that.
What? Yeah, I know.
200 years is nothing in the face of England being around for literally thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Yes, I believe this. When Brutus founded London after fighting the giants. Uh,
Exactly.
exactly. Yes. Uh, all right. Anyway, it was a short time.
It
Uh,
was.
the next book is The Crimson Veil by John Slaughter. I have heard his name before. I hold it
Yes.
a decent
He's
esteem.
American. He's been around on various podcasts in America. So,
Hmm. I should send him an invite. Uh, J.D. Hooks is a disillusioned private eye navigating a world steeped in corruption, haunted by the ghosts of war and the shadow of his father's death. Hooks finds himself in Arcadia, Alabama, a place where justice bends to the will of the powerful and sin runs rampant. When an enigmatic heiress walks into his office with a missing persons case and a cryptic plea for discretion, Hooks is thrust into a deadly game of lies, betrayal, and violence. As he digs deeper, secrets emerge, ones that threaten to destroy not only the Sinclair family's reputation, but also his uh, fragile grasp on morality. With a city ruled by a ruthless crime syndicate and a femme fatale who straddles the line between her lover and adversary, Hooks must untangle a web of deception that extends far beyond a missing girl. But in a world where the law is written in blood, can he find redemption, or will his quest for truth be his undoing? Ooh, and there's an audiobook.
yes.
I do have an Audible credit. Uh, yes. Then we have The Domes of Calrathia by the up and coming Zoomer Isaac Young. Banished for the murder of his master, a lone astronomer has set out to deliver a written history of his school to the ancient city of Calrathia, home of all knowledge. None have attempted to cross the frozen wastes in 3 centuries, and in the bitter cold, worse things than scavengers haunt the desolate trek. The story is for those who desire an alternative to exhaustive fantasy tropes and genre conventions.
I've actually
Uh,
read this. So he
hmm,
used to, on his Substack, before he moved over to Royal Road, he would send out a chapter every now and again. So I would get a chapter of this book in my inbox in the morning and I would read it. I think it's pretty good because, as he says in his last sentence, it's an alternative to exhausted fantasy tropes and genre conventions. So it does have the things about fantasy that we as humans like, but also it's not I don't know, it's not bogged down, maybe that's the word. It's not bogged down by, I don't know, just you know how things are boring and you know how the story's going to
mhm.
end.
Yep.
If
Um.
that's making
Uh. Yes. It makes a ton of sense. Like at some points, like I don't even read stories. I just like look at the first few pages, and I'm like, okay, 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 Star Wars ripoff, and I put the book down and I just don't pick it up again. You know.
Yeah. So
It,
this book is different from that. It's actually interesting in and of
good. Good.
itself.
Every time it's described, it reminds me of William Hope Hodgson's The Nightlands, and it is a shock to me that he hasn't read it. Uh, but I should read it. I think he did he ever get an audiobook? No. Well, he's working with.
According to his Amazon, he has it available on Kindle.
Ooh, very nice. He does, yes, Kindle and paperback. I think actually no, I've got a paperback in my car right now because I
I hope you
backed his
don't read it
Kickstarter.
while you drive.
This is America.
Why do Americans fire their guns while they drive? Come on, reading books while you drive is dangerous.
I've got two hands. I've got two hands and a dashboard.
So you can prop your book up and fire your gun out the window while you drive.
Yeah, because I've got two guns.
Oh, that's one. You have to use your knees on the steering wheel.
I've got four guns.
Or do you just have the eagle of freedom to steer while you fire?
Yes. That's exactly right. Listen, I can't be this rootin' and tootin' and also have to worry about traffic law, okay?
Yeah.
This is America. All right. And of course, you end it with an advertisement for the Corncrake magazine, which you should be reading, nesting in the oak of English literature. I still think about that wolf face you had for last month, by the way.
Oh, that didn't reappear in your dreams or something, did it?
No, it's showing up in my art, which is worse.
Oh, well, that's good.
No,
That's
it is a good thing.
That wolf has serious issues, but it's here and it's in our faces. And well,
Yes.
I don't think we have a choice. The wolf is here, and we don't get a say in it.
I have I know where I'd use it too. So there's a scene in a like I've got a novel I work on just for like relaxation. That's going to sound weird, but it's like in someone else's world, and I just piddle with it whenever I feel like it. And I have there's like two climaxes of the book, and there's a dip in between them. One is the personal story, and one's the plot that he's dealing with in the story. And to show that he is like healed from the thing that possesses him, he fights an elf, and he's a master hunter, and he's been transferred from one world to another as part of the conceit of the story. And in his own world, he was a terror on the field, and so it's like his boast now that he's back to his full power. And the guy describes it, not like winter, not like the desert, but like a temperate forest. You're sitting alone across the campfire, and suddenly a wolf thrusts his face into the light, teeth bared. Yes, because it's like, like how do I want to put it? Like when you've got characters like Jack Morrow who are like low key, I write them like they're horror series villains, except they're heroes, like they're heroic characters, but they're like kind of ugly and gangly, like more scarecrow than man. Actually having to be on their bad side, is a terrifying thing. And then Jack gives his warning that if this elf interferes with them again, he'll take more than his ears. And the elf goes something like, "You're taking my ears?" "Yes." So on and so forth. Because again, it's a terrible thing to be found in the hands of an angry servant of God. Which is good stuff. I like it. Though that wouldn't be the novel I advertise here, unless given approval to publish it. No, I'm working on a novel about some children whose parents are murdered by anarchists, and their house is taken over by an evil uncle, and they must steal. Yes,
this is so grim.
It's always grim. The life is grim. It's like when people say life isn't fair. Actually, life is very fair. Thank you very much. But life is grim. Bad things happen to good people. And it is not because of some sort of fairness. It's because bad things happen to good people. It's grim. It's the sin nature of the world. Camelot had to have fallen, was destined to fall in a way. Even if they still made the choices, to betray the marriage and the trust and the light that it represented. Anyway, point is that like it's going to be about sort of spiritual corruption and rooting it out, and choosing God over the wisdom of men, which I think the world needs a good deal more of.
That is true. Now, I have a question.
Yes.
As I mentioned to you before the stream, I want you to roast my catalogue.
Okay. See, I don't have a copy of it, so I can't tell the quality of the paper by which I will clean myself after the toilet. But if it's too slick, it will be unpleasant. And if it's too rough, it'll be unpleasant. And if I get a paper cut down there, I'm just going to be angrier.
You can ask for a refund if that happens.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's all I need. So I will say that missing out on some of Alexander Adams' photography is a pity. But the gentleman is about £1,000 per piece. So
yes.
It's quite expensive. But that's why you give out this thing for free.
Yeah, well, I mean, the online version is free, yes. I mean, I was unaware you were so poverty-stricken, but, if you had told me earlier, I would have sent you a free catalogue.
No, I'm fine. I can't, like, $1,000 a painting? That's...
Well, that's 1,000 UK dollars. Isn't that going to be 1,700 or something American dollars?
Yes. Actually, no, we've been hovering pretty close to each other for a hot minute.
But I know it's a bit more, so it'd still be over 1,000.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But
actually, it's $1 to 75 British pounds.
Okay, that's kind of big. Yeah, but when you get lots of money, it adds up a bit more.
It does. So it'll be about $1,330, give or take.
Okay, yeah, that's
painful. It wrenches the heart because they're quite good. Let me see here. They could do with more nudes. This is exactly the sort of...
What is this attitude? What is this?
Listen, all right? I'm there. I'm trying to deal with my post-second dinner needs. I'm reading it. I'm losing interest. I've already looked at the Persephone holding back the Cerberus. There's I don't know.
She's unclothed.
Yes, I know. But one can only spend so much time with it. And then you look down, and then, except for the weird feelings that develop when seeing a lion put down what might be another lion, I'm not sure, you're just kind of stuck with good quality and tasteful arrangements. It's very hard.
You're going to have to paint something distasteful then, so I can put it in the next catalogue.
Listen, Man's World put out there, and there was plenty of anime babes on there. Where are the anime babes?
Don't threaten me with no anime in my catalogue, or I'll have you arrested and sent to Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, all right.
Look, I mean, that's an American place. If you're going to be firing guns out the window, you have to pay the price if you dare go near anime by going to prison.
Listen, the strongest force on the internet right now is apparently the anime right, who goose-step to the march of Hair Yukai and other horrible things.
But they don't do anything, do they? They sit online and be degenerate about anime. They don't do anything. They don't put catalogs together, do they?
Well, it's like they don't. They absolutely listen. You have a good quality product, Shieldmaiden, except it's hard to roast things that are just good products. What can I say? I can only dip into degeneracy. Giving
You could
okay,
like critique the layout of
oh, that kind of roast. That's not roasting. That's just critique.
Well,
I
I did
probably would have.
everything. Sorry?
No, it's fine. I probably would have scattered them around instead of doing in sections. But I don't know. I don't know what people want. If I knew what people want, I'd probably do what people want. I'd swallow my pride and just, tell the muse to saw it off if I don't have something marketable.
The reason it's in sections is just because when someone is a publishing company or an individual artist, they want their work grouped together. So when you already have to do that, it only makes sense to have a separate art section and a literature one.
It does. I don't know. I'm grasping for straws. I'm just kind of staring at Pharaoh's dining jackets and imagining myself in them. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Like it's like this for if for yourself, but also anyone who's producing stuff. Like we're at the point where producing stuff is more important than criticism.
Yes.
I'm done with criticism. I don't even want to critique other people's works. I can barely muster up the strength for it to do it to something I am actively looking at and discussing with the authoress of. Therefore, I'm probably the wrong person to do it. And it's like I can critique people's work any day, all day. But I've learned long ago that most authors don't actually like hearing deep critique of their work. I don't, but also I've interacted with authors who also don't, even though they, in the end, take my advice. It's how do I want to put it? So we here at Superversive Radio call ourselves Superversives. The problem with superversion, the deep problem, the central core issue is that superversion is a critique of subversion. And subversion is not a strong enough philosophy to be a critique of. It's strong when you don't know what subversion is and you're only now getting it and you're getting people together around it. But once you realize that subversion only has as much teeth as you give it, and it's been propped up by literal government funny money through U.S. aid. There's nothing to really talk about. I can't really talk about superversion as a philosophical topic. It's why John C. Wright's new series isn't really getting the steam that its quality would really indicate for it, because it's criticizing Star Wars, but Star Wars is dead. It's dead in the dust. Maybe if he had zipped it out fast as thought, he would have had a really good market for it. But at this point, it just doesn't do anything. If I say I'm superversive and I say it's against subversion, people have to think of the things that subversion is subverting, then think of their subversion, and then think of them rebuilding. But the thing is that it's just what the original thing was to begin with.
So it's a lot of math.
Don't bring math into this. I'm a man of letters, not numbers. And that math with letters in it instead of numbers is unacceptable. Anyway,
I was curious if I can interrupt.
Yes.
I was curious, I think when you first heard of the catalogue, I think I messaged you about it, didn't I, ages ago?
Yeah.
So what was your kind of idea like when you heard about the catalog, and especially when you saw it for the first time? I think you were watching the stream that Nathan did when it was launched, right?
Yes.
So what did you like? What is your overall opinion? Like, I understand you've been involved in writing and involved with authors for a long time, because this catalog is kind of like an experimental thing to see if it's
Hmm.
if you're interested in it. So do you think that the catalog is a good thing, and this type of thing is good and is helpful to people and that kind of thing?
It's good and necessary. And the reason why I say that it's also necessary isn't because of some sort of how do I want to say it? Uh, it it's good and necessary, not because of some sort of like I want to gas up my friends and ignore my enemies. I could do that all day. It's not hard. But the thing is that like there's a thing called taste making, right? Gatekeeping, some people call it,
Mhm.
but in this context, it would be more accurate to call it taste making, and that's something I've been concerned with thinking about for quite some time. But unfortunately, I haven't really had a good answer, and it doesn't help that I've had a lot of things I also want to think about. But it's I know that fundamentally, if we want to sort of take back the culture, especially now when they're not being infinitely funded with money, um, you have to make things, and you have to make sure people know that things are being made. And in actuality, catalogs and similar things, even though it might sound archaic, have been a big way to advertise people's work for hundreds of years. The Sears catalog is, of course, the famous catalog. You could buy
Mhm.
houses, firearms, military grade firearms, until the law prohibited such things. Uh, it curtails my rooting and tooting. Um, and so it's like we need more things like this to exist, to spread out and get traction. Because otherwise, how will people know about each other without like creating a million email lists? Like it's like we have to get artists to know each other. We have to get artists to know people outside of our communities, which admittedly this is still within the artist community. But like I'm looking forward to hearing how the Fume Art Gallery did in New York, just to see what can be done for normies. I've got my own things I want to do, like sell books at conventions and stuff like that. But also, there's the matter of uh, sort of normal life and living and stuff like that. I don't have a 9 to 5. I have a couple jobs that pay me decently well that I string together during the weekend and late week. So it's like I can't really go out there and do all the social stuff that people seem to do, because usually I'm security at the events. Uh, but it's important to get the people out there. Like many times, if you go to a convention and there's a reading room, there's only people who are fans of the novel showing up, and 9 times out of 10 they're empty, unless you're also having like a party after. So it's like there's a
Right.
deep disconnect between the author and his audience, which is fairly normal. But the issue is that publishers aren't able to provide the audience intake like they used to, partially because everyone's online, but also because of just an inability to understand what the audience is and what the audience wants. Like it's so they're willing to pull it up for their darlings, but if you're in our circles, you're not a darling. um, it's hard. Like it's one of those things where it's like I know what the problem is. I felt the elephant up. It slapped me for being cheeky, but I understand the shape of the elephant. The problem is that I don't quite know what to do with the elephant. You know the story: five blind men feel an elephant, and they say, "Oh, it's like a tree. Oh, it's like a snake. Oh, it's like a,"
Yeah. So
it's that
different.
sort of thing. You know, so it's like I feel like I pieced it together, and I think that this catalog is definitely one of the solutions. Maybe not this catalog, as a magic bullet, but the idea of things like catalogs, more free advertising in magazines. Um, it's even though you should pay for advertising in magazines, people just don't want to do it.
But
Uh,
a lot of people can't though. Like a lot of indie authors or that people just starting off with their art careers, they just can't really afford a
mhm,
lot of money for advertising. They just can't do it.
I agree. Uh, I understand that entirely. I've been very poor, and I've still, I've taken extra work to struggle out a cover for a collection or something. It's what you do, but it's
And
also
I think
well, what I'm trying to say is that, like, because there's been a failure from old pub to even like indie authors in some ways, stuff like the catalog's very important. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah. Because I think like as like we want to not remake the culture, but be taste setters or whatever. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily think the money. I don't. Yeah, going after the money isn't going to bring the best people. It has to be
Yes.
one where it's about finding people who actually do good art, and they may
Yeah.
be poor, but giving them a boost because they do good art. That's the important thing. Same with books as well. People are very disparaged or discouraged by major bookshops. So, but then a whole bunch of people are like indie authors. Obviously, they don't have lots of money, and the money they do have, they're putting into getting a good cover and editing work and so
Hmm.
on. So, I mean, that's part of the reason that my catalog is free because, and that's part of the reason why it costs so little to purchase. It's only £5, um, because it's just like there's bigger things in making money
Yes.
and yeah, I think if we want to change anything, we need to stop just trying to squeeze every last cent out and instead do what we can to promote people. Because when I started the Corncrake, it was a bit over a year ago now, I just came across different groups of people and everyone was so scattered. Like the publishing companies, indie authors, artists, everyone was just so scattered
Hmm.
and no one knew of each other and everyone was in their own little group. And I don't think they were being that way because of snobbery. It was just the algorithms are terrible. So
Yes.
I hope with the catalog that the people who've had things published in them will get new followers or make sales or whatever, and just kind of help them get outside of that little like a little box and make new connections sort of thing.
Yes. And I think that's a great way to do it. Uh, I'm full send on this project. I'm full send on Corncrakes and more. Uh, Partially because it's, if you can't, well, the phrase, if you can't do, teach. If you can't come up with something new, promote what's new. Uh, and that's why I'm double fisting the streams today, both to promote your stuff and uh, I was going to promote a Kickstarter we have planned, but I messed that up and I forgot that there was an approval process for Kickstarter that we're not going to meet
Oh,
in time for the live stream. But we'll do that next week. It'll be
oh,
fine. It'll be fine.
yeah.
Uh, it's less time based than whatever. Uh, but what am I trying to say? It's We have to break the ground. I grew up as an artist when everything was scattered. everything was so scattered. If I put my stuff up online, if it wasn't connected to a fan fiction, I got no traction. I had to find
Mm.
small communities to discuss things. And basically, again, if I wrote fan fiction, it would have been I got reactions, but I didn't really get anything for non fan fiction. Um, then I sort of grew up and I went to, sort of like the rabid puppies and the sad puppies and the superversives. And then that stuff tore itself apart over politics and the first election of Donald Trump, because a lot of people who are very positive to Donald Trump this time around were very negative to the other time,
Yeah.
and were willing to fight me over it. And God bless young Ben, but I was too dumb to just ignore it because I felt personally insulted that these people, were acting in such a childish manner. Uh, you know, it's it's hard to do that, and then you move on. I had to make Pinkerton's Ghosts, during the 2020s, by myself. I did get some promotion from some people, but really it was only just kind of a retweet here or there or whatever. Like no invitation. I've got like one or two invitations to live streams, and it's like
Yeah.
I've got been doing this for 5 years, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not worried about the reach or anything like that. I believe I've written some God inspired work, but what I am saying is that I remember, and I've read of other times where our authors did work together a lot more. And part of it was through their publishers, who were not what we know today as the publishers. They also participated in things like catalogs, contests. They wrote to each other quite often, um, and a thousand other things. And they were very focused on their writing, their education, working on different projects and fitness and so on, or just being a weirdo like Lovecraft. Even though I love him, he's fantastic. Uh, with what I'm hoping, and the reason why I'm all in with you guys is because I'm hoping it'll start trends with other, not just bigger people, but like with other people in general who both want to be in catalogs to be shared around and ordered from, even if it's just a link to Amazon, or sort of gathering back together for magazines and stuff like Double Dealers. That's how authors get known and noticed. It's cool to get a viral video, but like realizing what I now realize with USAID, some of the stuff I mimicked with Pinkerton's Ghosts were also propped up by the government with all the money they could ever wish for. So while I had to slave on a physically demanding job, 8 to 10 hours a day, cracking my bones, lifting 100 pounds over my head, these people
Mm.
got up when they wanted. They could write all or as little as they wanted. They kept up a brisk shift. But quite frankly, if you're managing actors and you're not the one doing the writing, it's pretty easy to get them going when you've got a script, because they want to get paid and they want to do their acting stuff. Actors aren't hard to deal with if you keep a
Mm.
firm leash on them. So it's like what I'm trying to say is that there's been a lot of disparaging things I've seen, and I'm seeing now things that provide me a lot of hope for the future, and it's making me want to do things for the future that are also of that nature, and to find or found or produce something that is not just the status quo of money, of Amazon algorithms and stuff like that, but is true art that can be promoted among people who love true art, and of course can show up on lovely catalogs like the L&A Catalogue, uh, which is just fantastic. I can't roast it, Shieldmaiden. I can't really even critique it because it is exactly what it needs to be in a time, and is probably, hopefully, going to trend set things as people start producing more than just an email newsletter, not to be opened, not to be read, but instead a physical piece to share and share alike.
Yeah, what I found is that it's very hard to do everything, like do the writing and also promote everything and do the podcasts as well and everything. So what I
Yeah.
want to see is more catalogs and more people involved with each other, so that people can do less hard work promoting themselves and they can focus more on the things they actually have talent for, which may be art or it may be writing. Because
Yes.
yeah, I have to do so much promoting for the Corncrake, which is tiring, and I would rather just make a magazine, but I can't, obviously. I need to promote. So yeah, I think catalogs would be really, really good. More of them, for different things. Whether someone puts out a catalog which is just a particular genre of literature, or maybe another catalog that just shows the latest art you can buy, or a catalog that only shows just expensive art you can buy. Like, all of that would be pretty cool, and it would help everyone a lot, I think, if there was more catalogs.
Oh yeah, like it's cool and all to see an author with a viral tweet or whatever, but that isn't the amount of culture as you might think it is. Um, it's things like this, physical products that, and I know it's only physical product if you buy it, which I have, but it's this kind of product that creates a more than just a flash in the pan, a giggle as you doom scroll at 3 a.m. trying to sleep, but you can't. Something might happen and you don't want to miss it. And then nothing happens. Hmm. Nothing ever happens.
Hey,
All
I
in.
made a catalog. That's something that happened.
Yeah, it's true. This is something that happened, and I appreciate it. But let's see here. I don't really have much else to say about it. I'm reading through Corncrakes number 5 for the year. Uh, Pretty good stuff. I'm loving the poetry. Uh, Recommend it to people. I found the story about the girl in the candlestick to be cute, and definitely in the tradition, tradition of
It's kind of a
the.
Grimm brother.
Yes, exactly. Uh, Also, a jester's tier was pretty good. A beacon for all. Let me see here. And I'm currently reading through the Cy Smith interview, which I'm
Oh
sure
yes,
I will finish momentarily.
yes, he's
Uh,
been a long-time supporter of the Corncrake.
oh yes. What I'm hoping personally is, depending on how things go, if I can get you know, a couple of decent bestsellers, we'll say, very nice, humble goals. Eventually, I hope to be able to produce the art as a job, rather than as something I do when I'm unemployed or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and go from convention to convention. Partially because I am a fairly nomadic person in spirit. I drive everywhere and stuff like that. But also because I think that'll help things go. And if there's things like, and if Isaac Young or Brian Niemeyer or other guys are listening, if there's a catalog of your work with some of your friends' work, you guys get in together, get a nice little set up piece, I can give those out. I know that Brian Niemeyer probably remembers this, but the Zoomers in the audience don't. But that's how manga used to get sold. They would have these sampler mags by Shonen Jump or Shoujo Beat or other groups. And you would have all these different copies in it. And it was a way for people to get introduced to anime and see if they like it, and manga, and see if they like the things before they bought it, because you just didn't read it in a books Barnes and Noble before not buying it, like I did the whole of The Walking Dead. So yeah, that's my call to action, to for other people to do these sort of things and see what you can do about getting them spread out to cons and stuff like that.
Excellent. Well, yes, my catalogue as well. They're selling well, the physical copies, which are available on Etsy. If you're on the online PDF version, if you go to the curator's note, the bottom of that is a link to Etsy.
Yes.
Yes, they're selling well, and obviously how well they sell and how many people check the website is based on if I do it again next year, because I'm hoping people will find it to be useful to the point that it's worth doing again next year, because it's a way around algorithms and so on.
Right.
And I think whatever you can do to be independent of social media is better. The more we can do to be independent of social media is the better.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that, because fundamentally, none of us own social media platforms, and even things like UATV, owned by Vox Day, is actually Social Galactic, I should say, is actually fairly. How do I want to put it? Like the thing for Castalia House is that it's a ghetto, not in the negative sense, but just in the sense of it's a containment zone. Actually, I'm going to use that. It's a containment zone, and it's a big containment zone. It's a great containment zone. We love our Castalia House people, but it's not necessarily a universal sign. It's a few thousand people roped up together, who, if they were ever unleashed upon the world, a Mongol horde of shit posters and right-wing thinkers, undaunted, terrifying. They better hope that Social Galactic's walls stay up, lest they pour forth and devour the world. Eat the sun like Fenris. Eat the morning star. There we go. Add in that political, poetic language for any UATV listeners. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to promote while you're here, Shieldmaiden?
The website, check it out. There's always a new mag every month, and the catalogue is up. If you like the catalogue, it's free to view. You can purchase a physical edition as well. I think the physical edition is especially good because if you're looking to buy art, you get to see a printed piece of the art in front of you, and it actually is. It's strange how it's like that, because these artists have really high definition pictures of their art, but just seeing a printed piece of art in front of you it's just cool, and somehow it makes the art look better.
It does.
And so, yeah, I would recommend to purchase a catalogue, and definitely, check out, if you're into English literature, check out the magazine as well.
Absolutely. Do check them out. They have YouTube channels, Corncrakes on YouTube, Nathan Hood. Also a very good poster, well worth the follow. He contributes a lot, I believe. And then if you look through the set, you will see quite a few people who are worth reading the rest of their stuff as well. I want to thank you for joining us, Shieldmaiden. Always appreciate your work, and I hope that this starts a bit of a trend for people who wish to abandon the demon machine and its seductive whispers.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Have a good night, everyone. See you in a couple hours to talk about probably church politics.